Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Hamashiach, Yahushua. This is Officer Aharon. It's not going to be a long video. It's not going to be a long video at all. But I'm just going into the righteous going back into sin. And, you know, we should all know what sin is according to the Bible. It's 1 John chapter 3 verse 4. Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law. So this is going into the righteous going back into sin. We're not supposed to do this. First and foremost, let me say that chiefly because the Most High God told us that we're not supposed to. Sirach, I want to grab Sirach chapter 26 and verse 28. There be two things that grieve my heart, and the third maketh me angry. A man of war that suffereth poverty, and men of understanding that are not set by, and one that returneth from righteousness to sin. The Lord prepareth such an one for the sword. He prepares such an one to the sword. Through the Spirit, this makes the Most High God angry. We see that right here. And the third maketh me angry. You know, that's going into you were keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. You were keeping the faith, so on and so forth. But you return back into sin. You return back unto your own vomit. You know, let me see if I can grab that real quick. This is 2 Peter chapter 2 and verse 22. But it has happened unto them according to the true proverb. The dog is turned to his own vomit again, and the soul that was washed to her wallowing in the mire. I should have started up at verse 21. Verse 21, for it had been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness than after they have known it, to turn from the holy commandment delivered unto them. But it has happened unto them according to the true proverb. The dog is turned into his own vomit again, and the soul that was washed to her wallowing in the mire. So, it was better for you not to know the holy commandment. It was better for you not to know the law, statutes, commandments. It was better for you not to know about the truth. It was better for you not to know damn near anything than to know and to understand it, and then to go back into the world. You know, then to go back into Esau's philosophies and Esau's doctrine, so on and so forth. It was better for you not to know the way of righteousness than to go back into the world. Because we just read in Sirach that it says, the Lord prepares such an one to the sword. Let's grab another one. Proverbs 21:16. The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. Does this mean that he's going to, like, once he's out of the truth, he's going to die immediately? No. That's not what that's going into. But if you know anything about Ezekiel, I believe chapter 37, that's going into the valley of dry bones. You'll be considered spiritually dead. You know, you're the walking dead now. You're no longer alive. Just like Yahushua said, it is the spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profiteth nothing. Let me grab that. John 6:63, it is the spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. You know, and when you go into that word quickeneth, it means to make alive. So when we get these law, statutes, commandments, and we get the true understanding of what the behind faith, so on and so forth, when we get this true understanding and this true doctrine, it makes you alive. It brings you to life. But once you wander out of the way of that, you remain in a congregation of the dead. Also, we just read that the Lord prepares that man for the sword. He prepares him for destruction. Sirach 19:19, the knowledge of the commandments of the Lord is the doctrine of life. And they that do the things that please him shall receive the fruit of the tree of immortality. And that reminds me of Deuteronomy, where he says, I set before thee this day life and death. You know, pick one and choose one. Let me see if this is the precept that I wanted. Because a lot of men, boom, right here. Ecclesiastes 8:11, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully setting them to do evil. So it's a lot of men in the truth right now, and it's a lot of men in the world that think and meditate and ponder upon iniquity and wickedness, and they kind of they entertain those thoughts and those demons, and they entertain all these different manners of evil, and then they go return back into their own vomit. Me speaking on the righteous men, of course, they return back into their own vomit. They sit there and they meditate upon it, and they think about it all day, this, that, and the third. You know, they're sitting and they're being idle. They're being idle. This is Sirach 33:27. Send him to labor that he be not idle, for idleness teacheth much evil. So if you're just sitting there being idle and you're meditating on iniquity and you're meditating on wickedness, then of course you're going to go back into the world. Of course you're going to go back into idolatry. Of course you're going to go back into adultery. Of course you're going to go back into hating your brother, hating your sister. Of course you're going to go back into being a murderer. Of course you're going to go back into witchcraft. Because your mind isn't on the Most High God. Your work isn't towards the Most High God. The Most High God already told you, commit thy works. Proverbs 16:3, commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. You're supposed to commit your works unto the Most High God, and your thoughts are going to be established, and he's going to set you in the right path and in the right way to go. Deuteronomy 6:5. This is one way how to commit your works unto the Most High God. Deuteronomy 6:5. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. So this is a good way to commit your works into the Most High God, is to meditate and talk about him all the day long. That way your thoughts will be established. That way wickedness and evilness can't creep into your mind. How can you think about wickedness and evilness when you're sitting there thinking about the breakdown on Samuel, when you're sitting there thinking about the prophecy that happened in Daniel, when you're sitting there thinking about what's to come in the future, and you're in the book of Revelation? How can evilness and wickedness creep in when your thoughts is in the Bible? Your thoughts is upon holy things. You know, there is no way. But men like to sit around and be idle. Men and women like to sit around and be idle. They don't like to study. They don't like to read. They don't like to meditate. They don't like to call their brothers and sisters up and talk about the Bible. They'd rather talk about foolishness and folly. They'd rather go into other things. And that's the dog returning to his own vomit. The true proverb. There's a lot of men and there's a lot of women that falling out of the truth, because judgment isn't executed speedily. If judgment was being executed speedily, nobody would stop doing these laws, statutes, and commandments. But guess what? It ain't just about law, statutes, and commandments. It's about faith as well. You can keep all these laws that you want. If you don't have the faith behind it, guess what? You're going to die in your unfaithfulness. Let me grab that. Salakia. That's definitely not what I want. Right here. 2 Ezra 15:4. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. So you can keep all the laws, statutes, and commandments you want, but if you don't got the faith behind it, it's nothing. Same way, vice versa. You can keep all the faith you want with no works behind it. It's nothing. Let me grab this. Ezekiel 3:18. I want to start at 20. Ezekiel 3:20. Again, when a righteous man doth turn from his righteousness and commit iniquity, and I lay a stumbling block before him, he shall die, because thou hast not given him warning. He shall die in his sin, and his righteousness which he hath done shall not be remembered, but his blood will I require at thy hand. So, all right, I'm gonna break this down. It says, when a righteous man doth turn from his righteousness. What is his righteousness? Let's grab that. Deuteronomy 6:25. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before the Lord our God, as he hath commanded us this day. Salakia. I added that this day. as he hath commanded us. So let's go back. Let's go back. Ezekiel 3:20. When a righteous man doth turn from his righteousness and commit iniquity. Iniquity is sin. So when you turn from the law, statutes, commandments, and you commit sin, and I lay a stumbling block before him. What does that mean, that he lay a stumbling block before him? What is that going into? Let's see what that's going into. Deuteronomy 13, and I'm going to start at 1. If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and giveth thee a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder come to pass, whereof he spake unto thee, saying, let us go after other gods, which thou hast not known, and let us serve them. So if a person comes up and they commit some kind of work, it may be a man that throw the staff on the ground and it turned to a serpent. We can all remember back what happened in Egypt. Aaron threw his staff on the ground, and so did the Egyptians. They threw their staff on the ground, and guess what? It became serpents. You got magicians and wicked men that have spiritual powers on the left-hand side, but they're saying, let's go follow these guys. So if they commit a work or a miracle or a so-called miracle, and, they throw their staff on the ground and it turned to a serpent, and now you're like, damn, how's he doing this? And then he mentions some other God. When you know the true and living God, he mentions another God and say, this is the real guy. He does that. Let's see what happens. Verse 3. Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet or the dreamer of dreams, for the Lord your God proveth you to know whether ye love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. So that man was actually sent from the Most High God to prove you. The Most High God, let's see if he really loves me. I'm gonna send him a false prophet who's gonna prophesy in the name of whatever. I'm gonna just say X, who prophesies in the name of X. Let's see if he follows X, or let's see if he actually loves me. This is to prove you. Now let's go back, because this has something to do with this. It says, verse 20, Ezekiel 3:20, again, when a righteous man doth turn from his righteousness and commit iniquity. His righteousness is what? Law, statutes, commandments. We read that in Deuteronomy 6:25. And he committed iniquity, which is sin, which is a transgression of the law. And I lay a stumbling block before him. So this person right here, this righteous man, could have had a false prophet come unto him and said, follow X, because I can do these kind of signs and miracles and this, that, and the third, and so follow X. He may be working wonders through witchcraft. But this righteous man that we reading about right here, he may get down with it, because the Most High laid a stumbling block before him. It says, he shall die, because thou hast not given him warning. He shall die in his sin, and his righteousness which he hath done shall not be remembered. But his blood will I require at thine hand. So this righteous man, his righteousness will not be remembered. Why? Because he started to entertain those thoughts about that fake God or that idol X. And he started to think upon the works that magician or witch or whatever. He started thinking about the works that left-hand spirit was doing, and he got down with it. Let me grab this precept. 1 Thessalonians 5:22. It says, abstain from all appearances of evil. You're supposed to abstain from all appearances of evil, but this man decided to meditate on it. He was thinking about it. He was thinking about that God X, so on and so forth. Whereas other men can see straight through that. Other men can see, yeah, I know what this is going into. This isn't a prophet from the Most High God. Or I know the Most High God, and I know exactly what's going on. I can see through that. Why can a righteous man see through that? Sirach 39:24. As his ways are plain unto the holy, so are they stumbling blocks unto the wicked. The Most High God said he would already send something like this to prove you. So a holy man would see it. He'd be like, damn, this is plain as day. I can see this demon. I know what's going on. But a wicked man, he's going to die in his wickedness. He's going to die in his evil, because it's a stumbling block. It tripped him up. He went and turned back into to his own vomit. Let's grab something from Christ's words. What this say? Right here. Luke 17:32. Remember Lot's wife. Remember Lot's wife. What happened to Lot's wife? She got turned into a pillar of salt. Why? Because as they were leaving the land of Sodom, which the angels was about to destroy, she looked back. She looked back and was like, damn. Ain't no telling what was going through her mind. She probably was like, damn, I miss the wickedness and the abominations that we did in there. I miss the pleasure. Because in Sodom it was a lot of pleasurable things going on, such as sin. Sin is pleasurable. I bring this out a lot. Let me grab that. Hebrews 11:24. By faith, Moses, when he was coming to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, Slakia, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. So Lot's wife probably remembered the pleasures of sin in Sodom. She remembered all that, and she didn't want to leave it. So guess what? The Most High God had to destroy her and turn her into a pillar of salt as a memorial unto this day to not look back into your own vomit. But I really wasn't even planning on going in all those precepts. But Lord willing, somebody was edified. Salakia for going longer than when I thought it was. But, all through the Spirit, all praises. Lord willing, somebody was edified. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God Yahweh. By Hashem Mashak Yahushua. I want to say Shalom, my Barak, Mas Prakash, Shalom.